Welcome to the Zontec Best Practices webinar series that highlights customers' best practices. At Zontec, we believe that because you are the true experts and wrestle with these issues every day, you are true industry experts. Today's topic is supplier management. If you have a topic that you would like to discuss in the future, just email me and we will see if we can. Today I have Dan Heinmann, Quality Manager for Mass Precision. Mass is one of a very few remaining stateside companies offering vertically integrated metal manufacturing skills, from product design through prototyping, pre-production, and full production runs, through testing, distribution, and aftermarket kitting. My name is Danei Edelen, and I am the Marketing Manager here at Zontec. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to discuss some information about who Mass Precision is, the challenges that they were facing, how they handled supplier management before, how they handled supplier relationships after using Synergy, what ROI they enjoyed, their retention plans, the lessons they learned, and after Dan has shared his experiences with suppliers, for those of you that are not familiar with Zontec, I'll give you a brief overview of our company. We have deliberately left plenty of time for questions, so please submit questions in the Q&A section of the hand of your screen. With that, I will turn this over to Dan. Dan?
Good morning, everybody. This is Dan Heinmann with Mass Precision. We started life as a sheet shop in San Diego, California in 1983. And in the subsequent years, we have really turned into a manufacturing company with a global footprint. We've got facilities in Mexico. We have partners in China, as I'm sure that a number of people that I'm speaking to have. So we have sheet capability, we have machine shop capability, we have silk screen, cutting, paint. Everything vertically integrated with respect to metal, with the exception of plating. And we opted out of plating because in California in general, and in the county that we're located in, Santa Clara County, the local and regulations, but particularly the local regulations, are very, very strict when it comes to plating, and we've opted out of that. So one phase of our business that we don't want in, it's just it's more problematic than we want to deal with. Anyway, so one of the problems that we've had is our local platers, and these guys are, literally around the corner. A lot of them are a couple miles away. And the problem that we were having is that they would plate our sheet metal, and that one of the things that all over the view that I'm going to be talking about. So anyway, about Mass Precision, there's 500 of us. We have 4 buildings, approximately 250,000 square feet under roof. And again, everything that we do, we want to do with the exception of plating. So that's kind of the. I'll tell you about our certification. We're 9001 and 13485. So we do a lot of metal assembly as well. So that's kind of just a strokes about Mass Precision. As I mentioned, that we're vertically integrated except for the stuff that we really have been forced out of doing, which is plating. And we have a lot of cold rolled sheet metal stock. It's 18 gauge or 16 gauge, and it is anywhere from 40 to 60 to 70,000, so it's relatively thin. And we have any control over, in our building, we don't control over how thick the plating is. And the plating thickness is pretty important because a lot of products get shipped to, it could be South Asia, it could be Southeast Asia, it could be the Southern United States, it could be South America. And when it gets plated with zinc, it's important that you have the right amount on. Otherwise, if it's in a humid environment, this will sacrifice itself faster than it's really engineered to. So it's important that we have the right thickness on there. And it has to be consistent, and that's really that was one of our real problems. And the issue was that they didn't really have really good process controls as far as we were concerned. The process controls were sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, and there would be problems. It would be catastrophic. It's kind of an overused word, but it would be catastrophic for us because we would have lots and lots of parts that would need to get replated, or we would have potential field failures out there just bringing bad news out there for us. So we didn't really have good control over what our plater was doing. And I'm not sure if anybody in the audience is familiar with platers, but a lot of them it's sort of it's a nasty business. It's lots of chemicals. The conditions in most plating shops. I've seen a few nice plating shops, but generally speaking, plating shops are dark and smelly and full of nasty chemicals. And the people that tend to work there and run them do a kind of a seat of their pants. They really, for the most part, and there's exceptions to this, I'm sure, but for the most part, they are not the curve as far as process controls. Anyway, that was our problem, and that kind of describes the supply process before we started using the statistical stuff from Zontec. So that's the supplier process before. What happened is what we were able to do with it, and this was our biggest problems. We've got all kinds of problems, but we chose to go after the plating process. That what we started doing is monitoring the fitness of the plating on every batch of material that came through, and we actually got our suppliers to use the same type of testing equipment that we were. And it is there. You can use it's a plating thing, it's an electronic device that very accurately to within 50ths of an inch plus or minus will measure the thickness of the plating. And what we're able to do is we were able to show our player that the tanks, the nature of plating is when you start to get thick or thin, it has to do with titration of the tanks and how much metal solution is in the tank. And what we're able to do is show our supplier that their process was about ready to get out of control. And one of the things about statistical process control that I want to really be aware of, and I'm a big trader for this, is that you want to address the problem before you actually making bad parts. And our suppliers are close enough, and the deliveries are such that we actually can do that now. We can show with a PPK or run charts or a number of tools that are in Zontec. Straightforward proposition to email our suppliers that are only a couple miles away, to email them this real-time information and show them, hey, you're trending in this direction. You need to take a look at the tank, and they can see what is happening in real time before they start actually making bad parts. So the capability has dramatically improved from where we were before. So that's essentially what happened afterwards. So I want to talk a little bit about how we got our money back, and it was a weekly battle with plating thickness. We would have to isolate parts. We would have to sort parts. We would have to send parts back to the plater to get sorted. We would have the plater come over here and get sorted. We would have MRB meetings. We would process DMRs, and there was all of this paper and grief that was associated with it. What we found was, if we added up the cost of the DMRs, the meetings, wasted time, missed opportunities, all of that stuff, that the cost of the software essentially paid for itself in about 4 months, is really what it worked out to. There are some other costs that we don't have to worry about either, and that is the cost of me worrying about potentially defective product that's out in the field, the field failures, and this whole myriad of other issues that we don't have to worry about. We can in real time see, what's happened where we are, and the costs for MREs, we used to have to do it at least, it says here 1 hour a week, but it could literally be more than that, and that would also be my time spent over at the plater and doing this. So what you guys need to know is that the software for mass precision paid for itself in just about 4 months. So we don't have any rejections. It's almost just flat line. It's in the mud, as we say. Statistically, there aren't any rejections for plating thickness, and that is a good thing. Actually, on a related note, on the ROI, what we used to do is send our plated parts out to a lab to have tested with a salt spray tester, and what we're able to do actually is show the owner of the company here that because the amount of money that we had saved, we were able to use that, what we were spending, and go out in a short period of time and get a salt spray tester so that we can do a verification in-house for the plated parts. So that was kind of a little added bonus. But suffice to say that it paid for itself in a very short order. One issue that I'm wrestling with is I'm doing this for my supplier, and I'm collecting all of this data and feeding them back information. And it would be really neat if they're able to do that. And we've been doing this for a while now, and I'm very close, I believe, to getting the supplier to do that. They are collecting data almost to my satisfaction. But what is going to happen, I've been in talks with these about how they can start doing it themselves, and I've convinced them that there's money to be saved, customers to be made happy, and other benefits with this. So pretty close to doing it, and it took a while to convince these guys that it was actually good for their business, but once that, they were quite impressed with it. So a number of things, other areas that I'm going to expand to is I'm using it in very selected areas here. I've been doing SPC for a while now, and back in the day there was one of the problems that I came across was kind of the shotgun approach to everything all the time, statistics-wise, and there's something to be said for that. But what I'm doing here at Mass Precision is doing very kind of laser beam, very, very specific items that need to get improved. And as items come up that do need improvement, and I can use SBC to do it, I'm doing that with the software program. So we're definitely going to do the supplier first, and there are other areas that will be addressed as well at Mass. So that's kind of the short version of our expansion plans. Lessons learned. One problem, when you have a manufacturing problem and it can be measured, I would suggest that statistics or statistical analysis can help out, and you should do it sooner rather than later. The real-time information, it's all about reacting. It's about addressing a situation before you make bad parts. And we were kind of chasing our tails with that, and that was not a good thing. So the lesson that we learned is you want to be on the front end of that curve and make sure that you're dealing with this stuff before you make bad parts. So once you're able to show a supplier, and this can be an internal supplier or an external supplier, but once they see what it can do for them, they actually do become cheerleaders. That it happened to me, and I was quite surprised by their reaction once I was able to show them how it could improve their business. So now the trick is just to get them to do the job that I know can help their business. So those are the lessons learned. Do it early on, and you will save money. So that's kind of what we got out of the whole episode here.
Thank you, Dan, for that excellent presentation about supplier management. I'm sure our attendees have a lot of questions.
Okay.
However, before we go to Q&A, I wanted to spend just a few minutes telling those people that are not familiar with Zontec a little bit about us. Since 1983, Zontec has been making statistical process control, SBC software. Zontec is unique in the industry by offering a full suite of products to meet the needs of companies of all sizes. Zontec understands that some companies may want to start out with a small implementation, say one facility, but evolve into something larger over time. That Zontec developed the Investment Protection Program, so that if you decide to upgrade to a higher version of Synergy, the cost of your first purchase is deducted from the additional cost. And of course, all data works seamlessly with any version of the product that you have. Zontec is also known for using innovative technology such as .NET and cloud computing to help businesses reduce scrap, reduce rework, increase user productivity, and find new avenues for growth. And finally, Zontec has a proven track record by being adopted by more than 5,000 companies spanning virtually every industry category. I'll talk to you just a little bit briefly about the Synergy product itself. First, Synergy is designed logically to meet the unique needs of the people that access the system, albeit operators, managers, or engineers. Each individually only has to access to the part of the system that they need to do their job. So, as you can see by this customer quote, Synergy is designed to be implemented quickly and easily, saving you time and money. After a day, many of our customers are up and running, collecting data and improving their processes. Third, many of our customers appreciate the personalized service they receive. With bundled packages, customers can receive up to 1 year of free support. Finally, Synergy's logical design extends to its easy navigation. Oftentimes, you can just right-click to access any chart in real time. The advantage of Synergy is the Spotlight feature, which is red, yellow, and green, which allows you to monitor every process company-wide instantly to see if it's out of control or out of specifications. And as soon as the data is entered into the system, it is immediately available for instant reporting up to 8 characteristics or interactive charting, and has talked about the ability to email anyone inside or outside the company. So that's a bit of information about Zontec are and what capabilities are in the Synergy system. Now, what I'd like to do is open it up for some questions. A couple questions here that have come in. If you'd be willing to answer those, I'd appreciate that. What was the reaction of your suppliers as you shared this immediately with them about their plating issues?
They didn't want to do it. When we initially approached them, after we got over that, the reaction was, really? You can actually predict what my process is going to do before it actually starts producing a bad product? And they were very much surprised. They were not familiar with statistics, and they were very much surprised that we were able to make those predictions based on the data. That was their reaction.
Okay. And what's been their reaction with regards to the Synergy product?
They've seen it in work here. When I've sat down with them at my desk actually and showed them how the collected and it's analyzed. And after I showed it to them, I'm surprised at how easy it was. Really, that's the bottom line. Is that it isn't any more complicated than just entering data into like an Excel spreadsheet. But what you get out of it is significantly more powerful. That's what they got out of it. So they thought that was pretty neat.
What advice would you have for our audience attendees as it relates to supplier management?
What would I have about supplier management? What I would say is that it's easier actually than you would think to manage suppliers that are having problems. And what I kind of got out of this whole thing, and there are a number of people that work in the Bay Area here that have worked at Hewlett Packard, and kind of the HP, one of the tenets of the HP way is about supplier management is really that it's our job to make our suppliers successful. It's our job to go over and club them to death every week with what they're doing wrong and all that. But the method that we use here is working with our suppliers and trying to make them successful and showing them how that we have a solution for them to make their business better. And that's one of the things that I think that it's really improved our relationship. It doesn't have to be adversarial. You can take a tool like this, and it is a profound and strong tool to use to actually cement better relationships with your suppliers.
Can you describe for us a typical day for you with your suppliers?
A typical day with suppliers now is with our plating suppliers as it relates to this is that we will we a lot of information about our suppliers, about quality, on-time delivery, and they have monthly report cards, and we have a lot of information that we share with them. So a typical day may include a report that they're going to get on what their metrics are as we measure them, whether it be price, quality, delivery. We have a tools that we use. But a typical day is really about our outside service manager who is going to be taking the information that I'm providing him, and he is the direct contact with our suppliers, and he would be feeding them information about what their process, if their process is in control or not, where if they need to make any adjustments, maybe sending them information on like I said, the mix. So a typical day is a lot of two-way communication with emails with information that we're providing our suppliers. That's a typical day.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions that have come in. If anyone has any additional questions,
I have one here from Mindy Robinson about am I using an eddy current like a permoscope? The short answer is yes.
Okay.
So
I can see that one, Dan.
Yeah. So, there's other questions. I'll be happy to entertain any and all.
Well, it looks like you answered all our questions.
Okay.
So
All right.
Thank you so much for attending our best practices seminar. As I said, this is something that Zontec wants to continue in the future because you are the experts. You, like Dan, have implemented a software and use it every day. And actually, I do have one more question here, Dan. Is the SBC implemented in incoming inspection?
That's we have another name for it, but functionally, yes. It is implemented in incoming inspection, and what we actually have is an area that does just our plated parts that come in from our local plating suppliers. So that's where it comes in, and we have him do that. And ultimately, what we want to do is get rid of that function and put this young man to work somewhere else. If once we have our suppliers dialed in and get them using it. But the answer to the question is right now, it's on an incoming inspection.
Okay, great.
Hold on. Has my production increased? Let's see. I'm not sure quite how to answer that question. As the production, I'm not sure if you're asking about my personal production or the production of our suppliers. Let me try and answer that both ways. Production increased, yes, because I'm not going to MRB meetings and fighting with all of the grief that I've had before. So I'll try and answer it that way, yes, because I'm not spending time reacting to fires, suppliers. I'm actually able to do a little bit more creative things than that now. So I would say yes, my production has increased. Have we disqualified any suppliers? Yes, we have. I would rather not do that, but we have had plating suppliers that unfortunately have been disqualified, and it's a bad news thing. The good news is that when I am in the process of disqualifying them now with the Zontec tool, in addition to other tools, I'm able to have objective scientific evidence showing them the problems that they've had in the past. So when it comes to showing them why why they're being disqualified, there really isn't an argument. I mean, of course, they're going to push back and they don't like it, but ultimately, it's the data that kind of speaks for itself. So that's yes, qualified suppliers, and unfortunately, I like to do it, but this tool is an objective way of doing it, and it takes anything else out of it except just pure scientific data. Let's see. During setup, did you see out of control suppliers? Yeah. At the suppliers that weren't using it really hadn't done any kind of analysis to find out really where they were. So almost, it's like any other problem. When you look at it, you'll notice that when you start looking at something, when you chart it, as you go on the chart from left to right, you'll see that that the chart is wildly out of control, and it could be any process that you're looking at. And when you start implements and dialing the thing in, you'll notice that it will settle down, and it will get better and better and better the longer that you take a look at it. The answer to the question is absolutely. When we first started looking at just about any of our suppliers, they were out of control at the beginning, and through monitoring, they don't stay out of control for very long.
Okay.
Keep getting questions here. Let's see. Have you seen your frequency of auditing decrease? I have, and we have some pretty tight controls on that about how much, how often, and that's backed up with statistics. Yes, we are with our suppliers that are in control. The sampling size has gone down, which actually makes our inspectors back there a little bit more efficient because they're not dwelling simply on this one issue anymore. So yes, the frequency of auditing has gone down, not dramatically, but something on the order of about on suppliers that are in statistical control of about 25%. So, anything else?
Well, I don't have any more questions for me, so if you don't have any more questions from the floor, then I think I that about covers it. So I want to thank you, Dan, for I've got another question coming in here. Are you required to push for more environmentally friendly practices?
Now, again, we don't do it. We do the plating here, but the answer to the absolutely. We, as I'm sure that all of you audience are being directed either by your customers or state or local or other regulations for RoHS compliance, which is the reduction of hazardous substances. We do a lot of business with the EU, and there's the European RoHS and all that, and are constantly being challenged by the RoHS initiatives to remove all of the the old contaminants like lead and cadmium and that sort of thing. And there's plasticizers and mercury and all of this stuff. And it's in the state of California, in the not too distant future, there will be state laws against the use of substances. When it comes to plating, in particular, with the zinc plating is used with a zinc base with a chromium on top, which in the old days was hexavalent, which now is a trivalent, which is environmentally harmful. So, yeah, we are constantly, but because of state laws, because of the EU, because of China RoHS, and a lot of other people, but primarily our customers, are driving us to reduce the environmental impact of plating and other processes that we use.
And I've got another question came in. How much of using this tool has forced MASS, as well as its suppliers, to improve their corrective actions? How effective has this been? The normal thing to do would to adjust the processes based on real-time data, but does it go deeper than that?
I'm not sure how I wish I could see that in writing. Read that question again, would you please, Danei?
Sure. How much of using this tool has forced Mass as well as its suppliers to improve their corrective actions? Maybe start with that, and then we'll.
Let's start with that. How has this forced them to? I'll tell you. Usually, with certain types of suppliers, very large companies, most of the workforce need to have a high school education. All of them, English is not their first language. So let's talk about that first. Generally speaking, the level and depth of corrective actions that I'll get particularly from plating suppliers, and if there are any plating suppliers out there, I'm not making a broad assertion here, but I'm telling you what I know. And that is that the type of corrective actions that I get typically from platers are not what you would call world class. I would get them, in a lot of times, I would actually help our supply base out to actually to complete the corrective action to my satisfaction. Has this helped improve their corrective actions to the extent that I just referred to? Not really, but what it has done is it's just given them the ability to improve their process. So I would have to say probably not so much on their response to corrective actions. So there's all the other factors that I talked about. And last part of it, Danei?
There's a couple things. How effective has this been? I think you answered that. The normal thing to do would be just processes based on real-time data, but does it go deeper than that?
At this point, no, not really. What we have given our suppliers is a tool that they can use to adjust their process before they start making bad parts. And could it go deeper than that? Absolutely. Have I got them to go deeper than that? It was fun enough just getting them to this point right here, and getting them to pay attention and use SPC to adjust their process and work with it. So the answer is no. It at this point it hasn't gone deeper than that. My hope is that it will. And let's see, I have another question here. Apologize. I missed the. What types of things are you controlling with SPC, and what reaction did your vendors have? Well, I'll talk about that just because you missed the front part of it. This discussion was about how we used it for our plating suppliers, and it's mostly zinc plating, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000ths of an inch thick. We also use it for other things internally here, but that's kind of where we started with it. And what was the reaction of the vendors? Just don't want to bore anybody here, but just to answer this question. They didn't like it. They didn't understand it at first. After we showed them that they could actually save money with it and control their processes much better than they were, ultimately they liked it. So hopefully that answers that question. Anything?
All the questions I've received. Dan, thank you so much for your time and for answering all those questions. And for those in the audience, as we said, this is something that we want to continue to do in moving forward. So send me an email at dedelen@zontec-sbc.com and also fill out the survey form as you end this webinar to give us your feedback. Thanks and have a good day.